Hello, everybody. My name is Rowland Barkley. I am the consciousness designer here in Bragança, Portugal.
Hello, my name is Lourdes. I'm an English teacher and I'm very pleased to be with you today because actually it's a great pleasure and I'm very honored to be with you because there are some kinds of things that I don't understand, and I have the opportunity to read your book, which was very good, but still I have some doubts about the things that you wrote, and I would like to clarify some of these things.
Okay.
Well, my first question has to do with a part of your book in which you wrote that it is actually a question: are people relaxed at night while they're sleeping? And for myself experience, I don't think that I'm relaxed at night while I'm sleeping. People are all different, I know, but sometimes when I wake up, I feel that I'm already tired, and probably that's what I think, but you're here to tell me that. It's because I had a lot of things to think while I was sleeping. And the most confusing part of it is that sometimes I mix up things. In a minute, I'm thinking of a person, for example, that was very important in my life, and then I see that person in a different place that I've never been there before, and immediately I turn to a different subject, for example, something that concerned me during the day. I mean, when I was, for example, helping a friend of mine, and she told me, well, don't put the things like there, put it in a different place. And it's so confusing. And during the time I'm sleeping, I feel that I work a lot. So my question is, why do you think that it happens? Is it because of my concern to try to do everything at a time, or does it have another reason? Why is it that I can't sleep well at night and I wake up relaxed and ready for another day?
Well, certainly some people do work a lot during the night, and often that work is not very efficient, the same as one can improve one's work efficiency in the daytime, one can improve one's work efficiency at nighttime. Trying to do everything at once in the daytime is one way to get, say, 90% less things done. And at nighttime, trying to do everything at once, one also gets less work done. Some researchers into sleep science in the United States have actually calculated that the sleep debt, like from poor quality sleep, actually costs the American economy more money than the entire national debt. Accidents on the road, deaths from sleepiness, inefficiency, waking up tired. And if one had a greater quality of sleep, then one would have a much more productive daytime. Some recommendations they make would be such things as, never watch television in the bedroom.
Yeah, that's what we mostly
do.
The
bedroom is for, should be associated with sex or sleep, but not with television. I know if I watch television, it's because there's so many impulses going on. I'd like my brain to be numb for a little while. So I watch the television to stop all useful action in my brain. And that's not necessarily the best preparation for sleeping. So there's a variety of ways of making your sleep much more efficient, especially associating your bed with what you want to associate it with, which ideally is not stress.
Yeah, of course.
Now, the first hour and a half of the night, which you'll find in the book, ideally is for dreaming off the random acts of the day.
Yeah.
So you just let go. It's for your brain to do that. You don't, like, it's a natural cleaning process. So you don't want to think stress as you're going to sleep. You just, I'll relax and let them do it. Whoever they is, your various minds, or the dream masters.
Oh, right.
Those that help during the night, which may be aspects of yourself, and maybe visitors. It's unimportant to think who they are, but I'm going to sleep now. You worry about this and relax.
Okay, so in your book, you actually talk about some of the techniques we should use before we go to sleep, and that will help us to have dreaming quality. Well, but you already told us that it's not very good to watch television before you go to bed. For example, what do you think would be more effective for people to have this dreaming quality and help them wake up in a relaxed way? Because we know that it makes all the difference in the work you're going to do during the day, right?
Well, it's a matter of just before you sleep asking for your minds to align themselves and work together. It's a simple request. It's letting go. And it's been demonstrated, I've been saying this for like 40 years, but sleep scientists proved like a very short number of years ago that nothing goes into long-term memory until there's been a REM sleep, which will be the second hour and a half during your night. Like if you have a student that studies some English and they've memorized some words and then they stay up all night partying, they haven't had any REM sleep, which puts it into long-term memory.
Yeah.
And where people are deprived of the second stage of REM sleep for days, nothing goes into long-term memory for those days. The brain is busy doing a lot of things during the night. One can also work during the night, healing the environment, helping other people be happy, but that should never be the first part of the night. The first part of the night is for your day to dissolve off.
Right.
Yeah. You don't want to start working on anything for anybody else.
Yeah.
The first part of the night. And just kind of knowing that, you have a right to, I'm sleeping to let go of today. So you let go of it, and the brain will let go of it. And then you've made a little request that later on during the night, various like emotions you want to release. There's techniques in the book, very simple, for releasing emotions which are so hard to release during the day.
Yeah.
I mean, really, why do people experience such heavy emotions during the day? If we kind of think of the word, like, it could easily be seen as energy in motion.
Yeah.
And people say, I'm feeling anger, like energy is paralyzed. I'm feeling hatred, energy is paralyzed. They're basically speaking backwards. They're saying I have an emotion when it stopped moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people have negative emotions as a substitute for doing anything. Like, I'm so angry this person did something, instead of actually doing something real. Now, for example, somebody spread a rumor to a high official here that there's some Australian that has some thoughts that aren't acceptable for Portugal.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I couldn't. There was just a refusal to even register my process to be here.
God, but why is it?
For 9 months. Well, that's an interesting subject too. But there was a refusal to register, to even accept my process for 9 months. So, what would I do with that? This is unjust, and be angry. Well, now, if I was angry, I would be feeling an emotion instead of acting.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I thought of the possibilities, which would be, to file a criminal charge against a high-level government officer, or finish writing this book. Now, when all the ladies in the immigration office read the book, instead of a person with funny ideas, I'm an author. They respect authors. So if you deal with anger, the energy is not moving.
Yeah, okay, I understand that. But I think generally speaking, of course, people tend to be more thinking of the negative things than on the positive, and that's probably the worst aspect of everything. Because there are people that have this problem in dealing with emotions, and if they don't have, let's call it, an advisor, they won't change. And I have my experience because unfortunately I'm surrounded by people who actually are completely different from what I am. And I try to see things in the way you said, in a positive way, try to let it go, try to do things in a way that it comes with the good thing, but I know people that don't accept that. They say, okay, imagine someone said or did something which was bad for me, and my reaction is, okay, I'll let it go. We'll probably have a conversation. We'll probably try to clarify things. But I think that most of the people don't think this way. Okay, if you said or you did something bad to me, so I'll reply and I'll give you my revenge. And in my point of view, that's why the world faces this big problem of lack of understanding. And we need to be trained to do things in a good way, because if we don't have a leader, if we don't have a person who's directing us, it's very complicated, because you will think that you're correct all the time and that things should go that way.
Well, when people are blaming others, while I generally prefer not to use simple-minded cliches, we have to. One of the only ones I really use is, if you want to point the finger at somebody, you really need to know there's 3 fingers pointing back, right?
Yeah.
And it's sometimes necessary to learn to speak in some different way. But if the other person is really bad, if it's true, like if there is such truth, wouldn't that be a good reason not to internalize it and make yourself sick? Like if you take the emotion of hatred, you're basically describing some people with some hateful attitudes. They did this to me, I'll do something back. Now, every negative emotion twists up time or your timeline in a different way. Now, in the case of hatred, time is going forwards and backwards. Right?
How is it?
You have to hate somebody. You have to pull them closer to you to hit them away.
Yeah.
So your flexor muscles and your extensor muscles are activated at the same time. And that destroys your energy very, very fast. Hatred, you're pulling, like the flexion and the extension is together, and you're paralyzed like this.
Yeah.
Now, if I did this for 2 minutes or even less, then I would contract the muscles of my brachial plexus. I'd have hardly any blood flow to the hands, and that's the price of hating.
Yeah.
You're making an image inside yourself of who you don't want, and you don't want them out there, so you put them in your head.
Yeah.
But that's the craziness of negative emotions. So that's why I have trainings to help people with this, because every negative emotion is tying your own self up in knots for what somebody else did, and you're internalizing it and then making psychosomatic illnesses. If there is any illness that isn't at least partly psychosomatic.
Yeah. But my question actually is because sometimes people are very skeptical related to the things of training your emotions, training the way you can act, and I think that mostly people don't believe that it can really be effective. So my question is there a specific technique or thing that we can use to make people believe that in fact we need to deal with our emotions in a different way?
Speaking flexibly.
Yeah.
Speaking flexibly.
And if they don't want to listen?
It's impossible that they don't if you have flexibility of voice. Now, I notice your particular voice is the most musical I've ever heard in Portuguese.
Thank you.
But when you are talking about people with their negative emotions, your voice goes hard, almost not as bad as the average Portuguese, but it starts to go in that direction.
And you know why? Because I feel things.
I
feel things, and I want to help, and I want to be active, and it makes me a confusion if the person is not listening to me, because it's not that I think I'm the right person or the person that understands everything in the world. Oh, come on, no way, that's not it. But I mean, for example, if you have a problem, I can notice it, and I want to reach your heart, and I want to reach your awareness of that, and you're not listening and say, oh, come on, shut up, you don't know anything about this. And I say, come on, yeah, you have to listen to me.
You in particular can reach my heart easily. You in particular can reach Nalita's heart easily. You in particular can reach Robert's heart easily. But when you think they're not listening, you leave the focus of the heart.
All right, yeah.
Now, the word listening, you see, in the subject of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, they have this idea there are people who are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic.
Uh-huh.
Now, while there are more or less, it's possible to classify people that way for sales techniques or whatever.
Yeah.
Visual as a mind, or auditory as a mind. Auditory is the emotional mind.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So when you say they're not listening, there is lack of the auditory channel. So your voice goes hard and then in the head, and you suddenly turn from auditory to visual.
Yeah, yeah.
When talking about people who are not listening. And true, they're not listening, but when you speak that way, neither are you listening.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's why in all of my therapeutic training, I'm not interested in just retraining what they should do and how they should think, because thinking is very overrated. Now, if you would care to read Albert Einstein's descriptions of how he made his discoveries, they are all what he called thought experiments or 3D images. But if you actually read his description, I think he said 3D to relax people. They're really like 5-dimensional images. They have observers outside of time, observers outside the universe, observers in the system, multiple level observers, and there was no words in his thinking.
Yeah.
Okay? He's not, people mistake thinking for making words go round in circles.
Yeah.
Now, Einstein didn't have that problem, that he was simpler, actually. A lot simpler than making clever words go in circles. He put it right there and visualized. So, when a person is not listening, what I teach my therapy students to do is to speak to the visceral mind.
Okay.
The visceral mind here. Right? Because if a person is not listening, who are they not listening to most? The force down here.
Okay.
And if you feel the soul of the person deeper in their body than what isn't listening, they become speechless in seconds. It's so easy. You know, people tell me you can't put like macho psychiatrists in trance easily. Oh, they're so easy. You know, I just find out, like, what's your mother's name? Oh, Mary. Oh, okay. So I look at the psychiatrist behind his eyes and say, as you give birth, Mary, to Bill, if that's the psychiatrist's name, let the contractions begin. So how can he suddenly, having an education every man needs, urgent for every man, to actually remember what it was like to be his mother giving birth to him? Then he won't act so noisy, authoritative. And it's the more rigid as some therapists like that, the easier they are to get into a deep trance now. So for more information on learning deep trances, there is the Consciousness Designer on Facebook and Ista Lista da Conciencia on Facebook. And don't forget, as of another 30 minutes from now, you can also contact on Patreon. Patreon/Rowland Barkley. So, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.